So you want to learn to sew and you have no idea what sewing machine to get. Well, this video is going to tell you everything I think is worth you knowing, and I'm going to tell you the things that nobody else tells you. Keep watching. All right, now, so you've got some money in your pocket and you want to get a machine. I totally understand, but you don't know what you're doing. You're just starting out and you don't want to make a bad decision. Don't overthink this thing. It's not that hard, honestly. It really just comes down to a few key areas I'm going to cover now. First thing to think about, even above cost, is where am I going to sew? Some people are blessed with a sewing studio and they've got a lovely table that's robust and sturdy, and they can get any machine that they want, and that machine stays fixed in that position. Cool. Other people are not so fortunate and they have to maybe set up their machine on a dining table, and then the family wants to use it. They've got to clear off the dining table, put the machine away and repeat again in the next sewing session. So where you're going to sew is going to inform what machine you buy. So if you're on a dining table situation, which I know very well, I found it's easier if I get a machine that I can physically lift easily. The more expensive the machine and the more features, sometimes they're made with metal, they're heavier. Nice quality, that's great, but sometimes they can be a bit weighty. So if lifting it up and moving it around is an issue for you, think about the weight of the machine. Also think about the size of the machine. If you haven't got a dedicated area where that machine is going to live and you know you're going to be packing it up and putting it away, where are you going to put it away when you're not sewing? Is it going to be underfoot? Think about if you ever have to walk up the stairs with that machine or down the stairs with that machine. Will you ever travel with that sewing machine? Because that'll affect weights as well, particularly if you think you're going to go on flights with it. Money. Let's be honest now, money makes the world go around. If you've got a lot of money to spend, you can get the top of the line machine, and if you're broke, you're going to end up with something that's more basic. And that's not a bad thing as you're a beginner at all. Getting a basic machine sometimes is the best way to go, because you don't know what you don't know. You're really not going to need those 100 embroidery stitches that some machines have, not at this point, unless that's really your jam. So let's talk about features. You're starting out and you're probably only going to use a few stitches. You're probably going to need the straight stitch, the zigzag stitch, and maybe the buttonhole stitch. Doubtful you're going to be using the embroidery features and all the other things that some of these machines ship with. Now, you may well do in the future, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get a machine and future-proof yourself by getting one that you can grow with. That is the best idea. But if you're really limited for budget, get a basic machine with at least those stitches, a couple of presser feet thrown in, and that's a good start. If you're making large garments or items like coats, quilts, whatever, you might want a fairly sizable machine with an attachment table on it that you can put on and take off. You might want that because it gives you an extra surface area to sew onto. So you might want to consider that type of machine if you're sewing something large. If you're just going to be doing headbands, scrunchies and small things like that, you may not need an extension table. Machine features now, I do like an automatic thread cutter. I do appreciate that. It's very nice to be able to cut your thread automatically, but that does bump up the cost. Automatic up and down is nice. If you get a machine where you can press a button and needle goes up and comes down for you, that is handy as well. That could be nice. Are they necessary? Of course they're not. If you don't have that, you just get your scissors out and cut the thread. If you want to move the needle up and down, you just turn the side wheel, the hand wheel. So these aren't deal breakers. These are really nice to have. So if you don't have the budget to stretch for those, don't worry. Using the hand wheel is good enough. Using scissors is good enough. Now, before you buy any machine, I suggest you read the reviews. The reviews aren't the be all and end all, but they'll give you an indication of any issues that seem to come up regularly with a particular model of machine, and it'll give you an idea of whether you want to steer clear or not. I suggest places you look for reviews are, say, like places like Amazon, major retailers, Sewing Pattern Review, Reddit, Facebook. Look in those sort of areas and see what people are saying, especially if they've had their machine for a few months and use it regularly. Get some ideas from that. Now, what I suggest you don't do is just buy a machine because your favorite influencer has one. It could well be an indicator that they have a sponsorship deal with that brand, and what works well for them may not work well for you. But if you're buying a sewing machine and you want to get into sewing and you want to experience what it's like to sew regularly and get into it as a habit and a hobby, I really suggest you don't buy one of those mini sewing machines or one of those toy looking machines. You're going to get super upset with it quickly because it's going to be not fit for purpose. Get a decent sewing machine that's full size, has a good few stitches on it, ships with a couple of presser feet, has a decent warranty, and is a real adult machine. Don't get a little dinky toy. You're going to find that it's not robust enough to sew half the things you want to sew, and you're going to get frustrated with probably limited availability of parts. Sewing machines come in two flavors, computerized or manual, and I like both. I've used both. I skew towards computerized personally because I like buttons and screens and things to press. That's just me. But I'm acutely aware that the more that these things do, I feel that there's more chance that something will fail. And it does happen. This machine here, I love it. It's my old, is it called Janome? I call it Janome, it's really Janome, but this machine is a workhorse. It served me for probably well over a decade. I love this machine, but the LED screen has gone. And being a computerized machine, if you have no LED, you can't see what you're pressing, what you're doing. Now I can only use it for straight stitches, but I still keep it here because I like it. It does the job. It's functional, but it's been hampered because the computerized side of it has failed. So that is something to think about. I like a computerized machine, as I said, but manual is fine. You just turn the dial to get where you want to do, and you don't have a screen to guide you. That is also. It depends on your budget as well. Computerized machines always cost a little bit more. I'm a worrier, so if I buy anything, I want to know if something goes wrong, how can I fix it? How quickly can I fix it? So for me, one of the major buying factors is the warranty. Nobody talks about the warranty, but I think about that. If it's a 1 year warranty, well, that's great. If it's a 2 year warranty, that's brilliant. 5 years, sign me up. I like a long warranty. That's just a comfort for me. Even though machines don't break down every 5 minutes, I like to have that security. But with the warranty as well, another question to ask is, how is that invoked? What do I do? Do I have to ship this machine and pay a lot of postage to send it somewhere? Or is there a local repair centre that I might be able to take it to myself? That's a consideration. Also, parts. Is this a well-known brand? Do parts have to be shipped in from overseas and delay my repair even further? All valid considerations that I think you should research before you buy. Now, I'm happy to buy a machine sight unseen. I'll just go online and buy one or randomly see one somewhere and buy it. But you may be more cautious, and that's a good thing. If you have a sewing machine outlet near you where you can actually see these machines in person and maybe even stitch on them, I suggest you jump at the opportunity before you buy. So if you can actually go to a shop and try it out, I suggest you do that. So in summary, let's not overthink this. To buy your first sewing machine, you're going to have to consider the projects you want to make, your lifestyle, your sewing space, your budget, and the features you think you want. And don't forget, you can always upgrade at a later date. I hope you found today's video useful. If you did, well, let me know, show it. Leave a comment, maybe a like, better still a subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Now, when you get your machine and you read the manual and you say to yourself, oh, I need a little bit more hand holding, I've got you. Please check the description below. There's a 4-day video Kickstarter that should help you find your way around the machine and gain your confidence. Until next time, I hope you do get a chance to sew something sensational and buy a new machine. So happy shopping, and I'll see you in the next video.